So now comes the sinister question. Is Jeffrey Epstein and company involved in the act of cannibalism? That is a serious allegation that is starting to make more and more light as people continue to reveal the Epstein files. There's been many mentions. Obviously, the Pizzagate scandal, we have now confirmed that that is the code words being used to describe certain victims, pizza being boy, hot dog being boy, pizza being girl, and using those code words, emailing each other to describe what they were going to do with these trafficked victims. But there's also this growing allegation about the possibility that these people also ate the children, literally eating the victims that they bring to this island or bring elsewhere around the world and involved in the act of cannibalism. It really seems demonic. It really seems like something inhumane, something, in a spiritual realm where see these demons walking among us and they're, gorging on innocent, vulnerable children that we should be protecting. Well, you remember this video that was showed previously. This was a 21-year-old Mexican woman who was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, a victim of trafficking. She was able to escape the island, and she made this allegation in front of people saying that they were eating humans. Take a look at this. They're eating humans. Disgusting. They ate humans. I wasn't aware of anything. I mean, about the murders, yes. They had eaten humans. They smelled like human flesh, she said at the end. And no one's been able to track her down. So we don't even know if she's still alive on this earth after revealing that information. Now, that is a pretty daunting allegation to be made. Like, it's one thing to call someone a SEX offender or a child predator or a PDF file, but to go on and say that they're also involved in cannibalism, this kind of ritualistic cannibal, sacrificing young, innocent children to gorge on their body, that is a damning allegation. That is something completely sinister that no person, not even myself, can really stomach that. I can't even really process the idea that could ever happen. But there's been new allegations leading into that direction. And it's something very, very, very dark and sinister about this, folks. Like, as our own nation states. So this is one of the files here, or one of the emails released here. And he quotes saying, babies dismembered, intestines removed, and individuals eating feces from these intestines. That's from an Epstein victim. That's what that person said about the friends and people that went to the island here. And here's the email in response to this. In the highlight part, says, thanks, blank. I did not realize Bush raped him too. Okay. So that's the start of that. That's the reply to this, where it says, I like to add a few other points disclosed by the purported victim. While on his yacht, he witnessed African-American males having sex with white blonde females, all of whom were bleeding during intercourse. He was a victim of the type of ritualistic sacrifice in which his feet were cut with scissors, but left no scarring. On the yacht, he witnessed babies being dismembered, their intestines removed, the individuals eating their feces from the intestines. He was also raped by George Bush 1. So, that is a sinister allegation, folks. That is something you cannot even fathom. You can't even fathom without sitting down and speculating who these people are. Who the people involved in Jeffrey Epstein's circle truly are. Are they human? Are they human with souls and morals, and they just, been in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or are they something out of this world, something sinister, something in a spiritual sense is purely demonic? And this is where people are starting to have this conversation. And this is where I have, stated that it's demonic. And I don't use that term very often. But when you get to a point when you're not only abusing children in a sexual manner, but also devouring them in this regard, yeah, there's no other word to say it other than they're demons. They are flat out demons with no souls, with no conscience. That's how they're able to get away with all this. That's why they're so proud of doing this. That's why you see Howard Lutnick laughing next to Donald Trump when brought up about the Epstein files. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I brought my kids there. I knew everything that was going on. I was neighbors with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not going to jail or getting investigated because, hey, I'm at the top of the chain. You're just a muggle. If you remember Harry Potter, that's the weaklings that didn't know about the magic world. You're the muggles. Am I saying that correctly? I'm not totally sure, but you get the point of it. There's also this. So a lot of podcasters, a lot of streamers, now that the Epstein files have been released, they're going through it. And I've only gone through a portion of it. It's lengthy, it's long, it's disgusting. Like, there's moments where just looking into this is so gut-wrenching that I literally need a break. I need to, look at nature, look at the beauty of nature, because I cannot fathom how gross, how intense, how demoralizing all this is. That's been going on for decades and still continues on to this day, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not forget that. That these emails being released, the Jeffrey Epstein files, does not end any of this. It's still going. They're just now promoting it. They're now just rubbing it in front of your face because they know that a lot of people aren't going to do anything about it. But here's this. A streamer is going through Jeffrey Epstein's emails and noticing the word jerky keeps coming up. Epstein and his friends keep referring to eating jerky, but this jerky was able to walk around. They would fly in this jerky, and their receipts mentioned that they would never be used on traditional jerky. One more search shows that there are no record or publicly known images of Jeffrey Epstein with beef jerky. I wonder if this is another code word, just like pizza, just like hot dog, just like ice cream. And you notice how in none of the images, you never actually see Jeffrey Epstein or friends eating pizza. You never see that. You never see these particularly, thin, kind of healthy men and women not eating the amount of pizza that they're claiming that they're eating. Because if it actually was pizza, the food, you wouldn't see them as, these, thin kind of people. They'd be kind of morbidly obese. So, yeah, there was a little something suspicious about all the pizza and grape soda that they're talking about. Now, the word jerky is mentioned. And here is Asmon Gald, this streamer, who went through the files and is doing a time lapse of all the files that he's went through that mentioned the word jerky, and this is what he found in response to it. Take a listen.
Hope you are feeling better. Did we analyze the jerky? Why didn't we get jerky this week? I also added more to the jerky and ginger lemongrass. Thank you so much. Super cool. Beef jerky, delicious. Jojo is here and we'll walk the jerky over to Jeffrey. We'll walk the jerky over to Jeffrey. Why would jerky walk around? Why would it do that? Delicious lunch, beef jerky. Steve and I are very grateful above all for your friendship. Some of these emails are so wholesome, aren't they? It's too bad they eat kids. A small insulated bag would be fine. I don't remember checking it. No need for crazy amounts of ice. One should do. There is one bag of beef jerky in the fridge. Please get it. Also, Blank has more at her place. Please get it from her as well. I suppose it needs to be in a cold, insulated bag. Just wanted to touch base about jerky. J.E. said he was going to start eating regular food again, so he might be eating less jerky. He said he has 6 bags of it in a downstairs freezer. Why would you freeze jerky? Steve needs a 6 to 8 ounce portion of jerky. I gave you all the jerky we had, and it lasted only half the amount of time it was meant to. I felt like it was more important for you to have the jerky to eat during my time off. My plan is to make a batch before I leave for LSJ, and some of that will go to Steve, and the rest will go to you at LSJ when I arrive. Little St. James Island. And that's what LSJ must mean. So logically, that means that they were doing this off of the island. Steve Hansen is sending jerky to your attention overnight. I believe it should be enough to get him through. Jeffrey Epstein is asking to bring him more jerky. I'm flying in on Friday. I will bring jerky. Is there a time I could come say hi and drop off the beef jerky? And that's from Jeffrey Epstein. Francis has time to come tomorrow. Show me how to make it. Jerky class anyone. He will bring you to taste his new jerky recipe from the restaurant. He sends a warm hello. He's working at a restaurant called guys, the restaurant's called Cannibal and Cooks. Wait for it, beef jerky and steak. Can Blank make some jerky? I think we should landscape all around the house to use the water if possible, if the main house is not enough. Are there any recorded images of Jeffrey Epstein with beef jerky at all? No, there are no recorded or publicly known images of Jeffrey Epstein with beef jerky. Who sent?
Wow. That is some damning stuff, ladies and gentlemen. These allegations, like I said, they are damning allegations. Like, you got to have something. You're going to accuse a person of engaging in cannibalism. That's got to be a damning allegation. And it turns out a lot of these emails definitely in that direction. Definitely in that direction. There's no easy way to stomach that. There's no easy way. And I really don't know how people can be okay with that. I don't know how people can engage with the status quo, with the system, knowing all this stuff, knowing more of this information is revealing how dark and demonic and sinister and just insane the system, the overlords, the elites, the people that rule over us in charge of every aspect of our life. How can you manage to maintain that? How are you able to still participate in the status quo and pretend it's not a big deal? That, oh, by the way, they're also demonic cannibal eaters. Holy crap. Holy crap. Is that something? Here's Liz Churchill. So they're not even trying to hide it now, because she's going to show a video here. Says, who else is sick of this disgusting S? The babies we eat. That's this woman. She said that. This is a Freudian slip from Barbara Marx Hubbard, a supposed pioneer in exploring positive options for the future of humanity. Hubbard, isn't that the Scientology guy? Someone looked that up. I think that's the same name, isn't it? L. Ron Hubbard. That's the Scientology guy, isn't it? Maybe in the same family. But listen to this woman accidentally revealing that little Freudian slip that is now becoming more and more true. Listen
We
to
are the
this.
first species on the face of this earth to be aware of evolution, to be aware that we are affecting our own evolution by everything that we do. The babies we eat, the food we eat, the wars we fight, the babies we eat.
What? What? Hold. Whoa. What? This is supposedly this is supposed to be a woman that's looking at the positive futures of humanity, and you just burst out that thing. Oh, the babies we eat. And she doesn't even correct herself. She doesn't even correct herself. She just confirms it. Yeah, the babies we eat, the food we eat, you know. Just hoping that people would just mindlessly go by and not point that out. Like, you're eating babies, for God's sakes. That's insane. That's insane. That is satanical. That you're just able to blurt that out and just mindlessly go about your business. Holy crap. That is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. And here's also something even more a bit interesting. So, Roger Avery, who is the co-writer for Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, it's a great movie. Him and Tarantino have been on Joe Rogan's podcast numerous times, but this time Roger Avery just himself was on Joe Rogan recently, and they're discussing about the new revelations of the Epstein files. And Roger Avery, who is in the Hollywood spheres, in the Hollywood circles, definitely in the up and up, with a lot of producers and studios and executives and, you know, the pinnacle of entertainment. Here's what he describes is going on in California after revealing all the stuff with the Epstein files. Here is what he says is happening in places that he knows around Los Angeles and California as a whole. Listen to this.
And there's a longer version of that where he's basically like, you're all acting like nothing's happening. Like, what the fuck? You know, you're all just pretending you're just drones going on in your normal lives.
People are waiting for a condensed version that lays out all the facts. It's the people that are like really interested in reading all the emails.
I think the Luciferians cast a spell on the world. And,
for real?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's just like how vampires can't go into a house unless they're invited. They tell you, you know, what's going on ahead of time. It's predictive programming. And once you say it out loud and you put it out there and make fun of it and do a little skit like Stephen Colbert did a little skit on his show where, oh, here's a baby. I'm going to take this baby and I'm going to give it to Moloch. And he goes into like a cloudy red, furnace and hands the baby over. And he's, oh, the baby's going to be fine. And they make a joke about it and the audience laughs. Okay, we're all now conditioned to it. We've all seen it. And by laughing at it, we're complicit.
You think that that's on purpose, that this is like some sort of a grand design to get us to be desensitized to the idea of demons eating babies?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
For sure. And
who do you
by
think,
the way, nobody's doing anything about it. We know what's happening.
But that has to take, there has to be a person or some group of people.
Yeah, like about 8,500 people. Yeah.
That are manipulating the Colbert Show?
That are manipulating everything. It's all an illusion. Like, reality as we know it is fake. That's the revelation that guy is having. And he's looking around and he's like, it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Well, the thing about the emails is, one of the things is it's just stuff written down. And so that's sort of hard to digest. Like, what is this? Like, what are they saying? Like, some of it is in code, like walking over beef jerky. Like talking about jerky, could you walk beef jerky over to this person? Like, what does that mean?
For all this pizza they're talking about, no, right. You never see any pizza.
Right. Yeah. They're ordering pizza.
I'm going to get some grape soda. It's like with my cheese pizza.
Yeah.
And like there's all this coded language and everyone's like, oh, that's you just have pareola. You're just seeing things where you want to see them.
No, there's clearly a code. Well, that was the thing about Pizzagate. It's
absolutely a code, and in fact, mundus vult decipi, ergo decipiatur. It's a long known concept, And so in Latin, mundus vult decepi means the world wants to be deceived. Ergo decipiatur, therefore it is. We want to be deceived. We don't want to believe the horrors that are actually behind the veil.
Well, I think with the Epstein files, people are, because of these emails that have been released, people are just now starting to be aware of the bizarreness of the code and some of the things, like the facts. Like, let's just talk about the sulfuric acid. So this was like right after he was indicted in 2018.
Yeah, I got to get rid of some bodies.
Yeah.
I got
How much did
dissolve up some bodies.
What did it say he ordered? Like, let's
like 8,000 gallons or
dozen 55
maybe we can
gallon
get our
containers.
sponsor Perplexity to process this and give us a synopsis of what exactly happened, some sort of a breakdown. Because one of the things they're saying is like he was indicted, and then right after he's indicted, he orders how many gallons?
6 55 gallon containers full of sulfuric acid.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. What?
they're eating babies, man. Like that's
Do you think so that you think is real? So
well, yeah. Not only that, I think that there's sacrifices going on every day in Los Angeles. I mean, allegedly, like high level musicians, let's say, high level female musician is like killing chickens every day, doing sacrifices, like
high level.
Well, I don't want
You
to
don't
say
wanna say
I don't
the
want to say
name?
names because I don't want to get sued, and I don't want to be dead either.
Here you go. I mean, I haven't gone down enough on the rabbit hole to see anything, nor do I want to see that stuff because I think I'm already terrified as is. With a lot of this stuff, I don't think going further down is going to make anything lighter or better of this. It's just going to be more to the conclusion that I have stated, that we have these ritualistic satanic monsters in control and aspect of lives. And it's been going on for decades, and they maintain the status quo that keeps us distracted. That's why you saw so many people right after the Epstein files broke complaining about, the Olympics or football or the Grammys or woke culture went back to it again. It's like, do you not realize what's happening? You not realize what's happening? That's why that guy at the airport in, I think it was Atlanta, Georgia, had that freak out when he heard that the Epstein files got released, and he started looking into it, and he screamed at the top of his lungs in the middle of the airport, like, why are you guys still complying? Why are you not freaked out by this? Why is there not a riot happening? In some cases, I sympathize with that. I sympathize with that guy. Why isn't there more action being done? Why aren't more people just absolutely pissed off? Not only just with the Epstein files, but everything that's been going on for the last how many years now? After what we dealt with COVID, after everything we've dealt with Ukraine, after everything that's been going on just in this decade alone, how are not people just more frantic and pissed off and angered and, wanting to change something and wanting to, stick it to the man, screw the status quo. The status quo has screwed me over. So why am I respecting these overlords that are doing this satanic ritualistic crap? Why? Why am I giving them time of day? Why am I giving them energy? It really is unbelievable, folks. It's unbelievable how much has been said about this. And here to show people, this is from the Gateway Pundit, that document showed Epstein bought 330 gallons of sulfuric acid in 2018. On the same day, the FBI launched sex trafficking probe on him. The same day. Now, I have heard, I don't know this officially because I don't have a luxury private island, but I have heard that buying sulfuric acid and transporting it to an island that's off the grid is fairly common when it comes to sewage waste. Like if you have a septic tank that needs to be, needs to be processed, needs to be drained out of the sewage and the fecal matter and whatnot, then they'll bring sulfuric acid to kind of burn that away. I can understand a bit of that, but the real creepy thing is, why would Jeffrey Epstein get sulfuric acid on the same day that he's being probed for sex trafficking? And why would Jeffrey Epstein himself be ordering this? Because I would assume with a guy like him, this financier has a bunch of people around him. I'm sure he has secretaries. I'm sure there's, people that are doing the day-to-day logistics of this private island. Wouldn't they be responsible for ordering this sulfuric acid if it's for sewage waste? If it's for what they claim it is and not what we're expecting this kind of is? So that's what makes this so hair-raising, so crazy, so insane that people can't even fathom it. That's why I think a lot of people, I can't read people's minds, but I think a lot of people, yes, are concerned about the Jeffrey Epstein files. They are concerned about sex trafficking, but they are petrified to know this information because it completely changes you. And it's definitely been life-altering to me. I mean, that's why we did those videos about Michael Jackson, because now it's kind of turned course for our understanding that, no, Michael Jackson was not a predator like we thought he was. No, he was actually saving the kids. That Britney Spears was a victim. She didn't go crazy. She lashed out because she was messed up internally. She was part of a mind control through the child entertainment industry, and that's what happens. Same with Amanda Bynes, same with Miley Cyrus, same with a lot of these victims. They are victims. They're not just idiots that are lashing out for no reason. They're doing it because the system is designed in that manner. And that's the system that you watch, your children watch, you're complicit of, you purchase, you contribute, you do everything to keep the system afloat. That's why that guy had that freak out saying, why are you still doing this? Why are you still contributing? Why aren't more people upset about this? I mean, we're talking about literal cannibals at this point. Literal cannibals that do satanic rituals and involved in trafficking underage victims for sexual pleasure and blackmail and more disgusting things you couldn't even imagine. That's what's coming to light here. That's why these files are so vital. It's literally the crime of the century that we're dealing with. The cover up of the century, the crime of the century. They kept it under wraps for so long. And now we know this. Now we know this. And we can't unknow what we know now. And there's also mention in the Epstein files of a creature named Baal. And here's a picture. This is in Iran. So this is the Baal statue. This is a mythical creature that a lot of Satanists, a lot of, demon worshippers, they pledge allegiance to Baal. And what's interesting about this, you could see this statue, obviously the goat and the horns head. You could see that there's, the mark of the beast at the bottom. There's also the star underneath that. Kind of interesting. And now this statue that was in Iran is being burnt down by Iranians. They're actually going to torch this statue as a defiance against Jeffrey Epstein, America, and Israel. And we know that Jeffrey Epstein had connections, was an intel prop for the CIA and also for Mossad. So, yeah, it gets more deranged. It gets more, it gets to a point where, yes, this is spiritual warfare. This is spiritual warfare that we're dealing with, folks. Like, again, people can't really fathom what is going on here. They can't really sit down and put all the pieces together to understand this. But this is the general picture that we're dealing with, that we have these powerful entities, the reason that they're powerful is because they do all this creepy ritualistic crap that gives them this power, that gives them this momentum, that, you know, allows them to have this force against people. That's why they blackmail people. That's why they, you know, after they traffic someone and then they bring other people in and then they do their, you know, sexual craziness, that they use that as blackmail to deceive other people into getting what they want out of things. It's this system that is just so evil and so rotting that people are now starting to wake up to this, and people have to come to terms that, yes, you're going to have to re-examine a lot of things that you thought was just average, normal, day-to-day activities, engaging in a system that practices this, that preaches this behind closed doors. Here's also another thing to mention, because he mentions about California, Bohemian Grove. You remember those stories? Bohemian Grove, this wilderness part in the remote area of California where there's the owl statue you could see behind there, behind the fires, that very higher up people gather at this place. They do this kind of chant. They wear the robes. It really is like an eyes wide shut ceremony going around this bonfire in practicing spiritual executions and sacrifices to Baal. So, yeah, there is some creepy, disturbing things that is now coming to light that now people are aware of. And like I said, once you know something, once you know about this, it's hard not to unknow this. It's hard not to unknow that it's not just Jeffrey Epstein and his perverted PDF fileness. It's an entire network, an entire establishment that's corroding this world. It really is a satanic rot on all of the world, and we are the victims of it. All of us are victims of it. We're the goyim, as they described there. We're the cattle. We're the animals that they want to brutalize. They want to demonize. They want to segregate. They want to do everything they can to keep us manipulated and in control. That's why, conveniently, they put the Epstein files right at the same time the Winter Olympics were happening, Grammys were happening, and the Super Bowl were happening, hoping that the plebes would be distracted enough to talk about, oh my God, Bad Bunny performing. And guess what? A lot of people did that. A lot of people did that. And what I said to them is, you're a bunch of idiots if you're so concerned about a Super Bowl halftime show and not revealing this kind of information, because this should make you petrified enough to understand that you should not be interested in the Super Bowl whatsoever, or football, or the NFL, because they all contribute in one way or another to stuff like this. That's the unfortunate part. That's the dark reality that people have to wake up to. It's not blackpilling. It's understanding the world that we're in and realizing that the best way we can fight back is knowledge. That's why censorship is the longest battle of human history, because they've been trying to keep this under wraps for so long. But now that it's been revealed, we're now knowledgeable about what they do behind the scenes, and we're able to calculate and fight back on this. Knowledge is power, folks. Knowledge is power. So, be advised on this. Be advised. Understand how this is all connected. Do a little background research if you can. I know it's a long stead of emails and whatnot. I know a lot of people can't sit through 3 million documents. I know I certainly can't. But just know, this is what it's revealing. This is what's coming to. And it's not just PDFs. It's about satanic rituals. It's about the entertainment industry. It's about how they control the population. There's documents revealing that Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein were planning the pandemic in 2015. They were planning the 2020 COVID pandemic in 2015 and how to coordinate people to go along with it. They said that in 2015, according to the documents. There's also documents that Jeffrey Epstein met with Steve Bannon, who was a former Trump advisor, planning out MAGA. That's right, MAGA. So your little political party, your little establishment, your grassroots movement was a psyop by them. You were duped. You had a psyop put on you, and you were duped. That's why Donald Trump became the president and doing the sinister stuff that he's doing right now instead of what MAGA was proposing to do. Stopping the wars, dealing with immigration respectively and by law, fixing the economy, not skyrocketing debt, cutting back on military expenses, cutting back on foreign interventions. All the things that Trump was proposing, slashing the government spending. What happened to Doge? Was just lies. All of them were lies. You got duped. Like people got duped with Barack Obama. People got duped with Bernie Sanders. People are going to get duped constantly because of this system that feeds people this bullcrap. And what people need to understand is you need to be more vigilant now to know not to get fooled again by this satanic cult. That's what it is. It's a giant cult. You and I ain't in it. We're the goyim. We're the animals. We're the victims that they want to target, that they want to destroy, that they want to mess around with. But luckily, we're knowledgeable. We have brains. We have the brain power and functionality to know better and to catch beforehand. And that's why this is so important.